Have you ever wondered why a certain person keeps coming back into your mind no matter how much you try to forget them? Is it just your emotions, or could it be a hidden sign from Allah? Today we'll uncover the shocking Islamic truth about why someone stays in your thoughts and what it really means for your destiny and your du'as. Stay with me. You don't want to miss this. When someone keeps returning to your mind, it is often because of the emotional or spiritual attachment you carry toward them. In Islam, the heart is considered a central place of feelings, intentions, and spiritual energy. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Indeed, in the body there is a piece of flesh. If it is sound, the whole body is sound, and if it is corrupt, the whole body is corrupt. Truly, it is the heart." Bukhari and Muslim. This shows us that what occupies our heart also influences our thoughts and behavior. Emotional attachment is a natural part of human life. Allah created us with the ability to love, care, and feel connected to others. Sometimes this bond is with family, sometimes with friends, and sometimes with someone who left a mark on our journey. When that person stays in your mind, it reflects the intensity of the attachment and the role they played in shaping your emotions. It could be a past memory, an act of kindness, or even unresolved feelings that keep replaying in your heart. But beyond the emotional side, Islam teaches us that attachments can also be spiritual. Sometimes Allah allows someone to enter your heart and mind, to guide you toward lessons you need to learn. Perhaps that person reminds you of patience, forgiveness, or sacrifice. Or maybe their presence in your thoughts is meant to redirect you back to Allah by showing you the limits of human love. A person who constantly comes to mind can act as a mirror, helping you recognize your own weaknesses, longings, or hopes. It is important, however, to balance emotional bonds with spiritual awareness. Islam warns against becoming overly dependent on people for happiness. The Quran reminds us, "Indeed, with the remembrance of Allah do hearts find rest." If your thoughts of someone bring anxiety, overthinking, or restlessness, it may be a sign that your heart is clinging too much to creation instead of the Creator. That is why scholars often say, love people for the sake of Allah, but never let that love overpower your love for Him. On the other hand, if thinking about someone inspires you to make dua for them, to forgive them, or to be grateful for the role they played in your life, then it becomes a source of reward. This is where spiritual attachment transforms into a blessing. By remembering someone with good intentions and asking Allah to guide or protect them, your bond becomes an act of worship rather than a distraction. Therefore, when someone keeps returning to your mind, pause and reflect. Is this attachment pulling me closer to Allah or distracting me from Him? If it brings you closer, cherish it and turn it into dua. If it distracts you, ask Allah to purify your heart and grant you clarity. In both cases, the presence of that person in your thoughts is not random. It is part of Allah's divine plan to shape your heart, test your patience, and guide you towards spiritual growth. When someone repeatedly comes into your mind and you cannot seem to let go of them, it may not just be a matter of emotions, it could be a test from Allah. Islam teaches us that nothing happens without Allah's wisdom and decree. The Quran says, "And we will surely test you with something of fear and hunger and a loss of wealth and lives and fruits, but give glad tidings to the patient." These tests are not only material or physical, sometimes they are deeply emotional and spiritual, testing the heart itself. One of the most powerful ways Allah tests a believer is through their attachments. Loving someone, missing them, or constantly thinking about them can challenge your faith. Do you allow this attachment to overpower your connection with Allah, or do you channel these feelings into dua, sabr, patience, and tawakkul, trust in Allah? This is where the true test lies. When a person dominates your thoughts, you may feel restless, distracted, or even heartbroken. In such moments, shaitan can exploit your weakness, leading you into unhealthy obsession, despair, or sins. But Allah, in His wisdom, allows this situation to test whether you will give in to these temptations or rise above them by remembering Him. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Whoever loves something excessively will be blinded by it." This means when attachment takes over, it can cloud judgment and distance a believer from Allah. Recognizing this is the first step toward turning a trial into an opportunity for growth. Patience, sabra, in this test means resisting the urge to dwell too much on someone, restraining the heart and redirecting it to Allah. It is not about denying emotions, but about managing them with wisdom. Faith, iman, means believing that Allah knows why this person occupies your mind and trusting that His plan is always better than your desires. The Quran reminds us, "But perhaps you hate a thing and it is good for you, and perhaps you love a thing and it is bad for you. And Allah knows while you know not." Sometimes Allah tests you by placing someone in your thoughts whom you cannot be with, or someone from your past who has moved on. In such cases, the trial is to see if you can let go and accept destiny. At other times, thinking of someone may be a sign for you to pray for them or even mend a broken relationship. Either way, your response defines the outcome of the test. Ultimately, these trials are designed to strengthen your reliance on Allah. If you respond with sabr, dua, and trust, you will not only pass the test but also elevate your spiritual rank. The Prophet ﷺ taught that those who are patient in trials earn immense rewards, and Allah Himself promises, "Indeed, Allah is with the patient." So when someone won't leave your thoughts, ask yourself, am I failing the test by drowning in attachment, or am I passing it by returning to Allah? This reflection transforms the trial into a source of faith, growth, and closeness to your Creator. In Islam, nothing happens without the decree of Allah. Every thought, every meeting, every bond that forms in the heart is by His divine wisdom. When someone repeatedly returns to your mind, it can sometimes be more than just emotion. It may be a sign of Qadr, destiny, or a deeper spiritual connection written by Allah. The Quran reminds us, indeed, all things we created with predestination. This means that even the person who constantly enters your thoughts could be part of Allah's plan for your life. Destiny in Islam is not random. Allah places certain people in our path to test us, teach us lessons, or sometimes to unite us in ways we cannot yet see. If someone remains in your heart despite distance or silence, it could be a sign that their presence in your life has meaning, either as a blessing, a trial, or a turning point. Such recurring thoughts may not always be accidental. Rather, they can carry spiritual weight, nudging you toward reflection and dua. At times, these thoughts may point to a spiritual connection between souls. The Prophet ﷺ said, souls are like conscripted soldiers. Those that recognize one another will come together, and those that do not will part from one another. This hadith shows that some souls naturally recognize and connect with each other in ways that go beyond worldly explanations. If you cannot forget someone, it might be that your soul has an unseen bond with theirs, a connection Allah allowed as part of His wisdom. However, it's crucial to distinguish between true destiny and mere emotional attachment. Not every recurring thought means someone is meant for you. Sometimes Allah places a person in your mind repeatedly to test your patience or to remind you to pray for them. Other times it may be a sign that this person carries an important role in your spiritual journey, even if it is temporary. The key is not to jump to conclusions, but to seek clarity through dua and istikhara, prayer for guidance. Qadr also reminds us of humility. Even if you feel strongly connected to someone, the final outcome rests with Allah. You may think someone is your destiny, but Allah's knowledge surpasses your desires. The Quran says, it may be that you dislike a thing while it is good for you, and it may be that you love a thing while it is bad for you. Allah knows and you do not know. This verse teaches us that destiny is not based on feelings alone, but on divine wisdom. If you keep thinking about someone, the wise approach is to bring that matter to Allah. Ask Him, "Oh Allah, if this person is good for my deen, my life and my hereafter, then make it easy and bring it with blessings. If not, remove them from my heart and replace it with something better." This is how you align your emotions with Qadr, ensuring that your connection, whether continued or removed, benefits your soul. In the end, constant thoughts of someone could be a sign of destiny or a spiritual bond, but the true meaning lies only with Allah. Your role is to remain patient, make dua, and trust that if this connection is truly written for you, no force in the world can erase it, and if it is not, no force can make it happen. When someone constantly occupies your mind, the most powerful step you can take is to turn to dua. In Islam, dua is not just asking, it is a direct conversation with Allah, the All-Knowing, who understands the secrets of your heart better than you do. Whenever confusion, love, longing, or repeated thoughts overwhelm you, dua serves as a light that guides you through the darkness of uncertainty. The Quran promises, "Call upon me, I will respond to you." This 60. This verse alone is enough to remind us that clarity doesn't come from overthinking, from seeking endless signs, or from relying on others' opinions. It comes from asking Allah sincerely. If someone remains in your mind, you can turn to Allah and say, "Ya Allah, if this person is written for me in my destiny, make them a source of goodness in my life. If they are not, remove them from my heart and replace the thoughts with peace." Dua provides clarity because it shifts your perspective. Instead of getting lost in emotions or desires, you acknowledge that Allah holds the knowledge of the unseen. Repeated thoughts about a person could mean many things: a sign of destiny, a test, or simply an emotional attachment. But since you cannot know the unseen, you entrust that decision to Allah. This is where the dua of istikhara, the prayer for guidance, becomes vital. The Prophet ﷺ taught it to the companions for all important matters of life. Through istikhara, you ask Allah to guide you toward what is good for your deen, dunya and akhirah, and to turn you away from what is harmful, even if your heart desires it.
Moreover, dua purifies your intention. Sometimes the reason a person keeps returning to your mind is that you have placed them in a position of excessive importance. By turning to Allah, you realign your heart so that your priority is His pleasure, not your emotions. You remind yourself, if this person is part of my path, Allah will make it clear. If not, then He will protect me from heartbreak. This surrender to Allah's will transforms your anxiety into peace. Another blessing of dua is that it softens the heart. Instead of obsessing over someone or becoming restless, you replace your inner turbulence with words of prayer. Ask Allah to bless that person, guide them, and grant them goodness. Even if they are not meant to stay in your life, you will find comfort in knowing you remembered them in your prayers, an act of kindness that brings reward from Allah. Lastly, dua opens the door to inner clarity. Over time, you may notice that the thoughts begin to ease, your heart feels lighter, and your perspective changes. That is Allah answering your dua in the way most suitable for you. Sometimes He grants what you ask, sometimes He delays it, and sometimes He replaces it with something better. As the Prophet ﷺ said, no Muslim makes dua unless it is for sin or breaking family ties, except that Allah gives him one of three. Either He answers immediately, or He saves it for the hereafter, or He averts from him a calamity of equal weight. Ahmad. In conclusion, when someone remains in your heart and thoughts, the best way to seek clarity is not through guessing or worrying, but through dua. It is your weapon, your comfort, and your direct link to the one who knows the truth of every matter. With dua, you find peace in the waiting, clarity in confusion, and strength in surrendering your emotions to Allah's perfect plan.